Hi, everybody. Dr. Chris Hoff here. Time for another kitchen table talk. And today we're talking about the tyranny of what other people think about you. So, real or imagined. Recently, I was in conversation with a colleague and a friend, and she was having a bit of a struggle with what often gets called imposter syndrome. And I shared the analogy of how there can be a line of 10 people, and you go down that line of 10 people, and the first 9 all have wonderful things to say about you, but that last person, that 10th person, says, you're okay. And how when that happens, we all end up thinking about that last person, and something happens to us where we discount all the wonderful things that the previous 9 people had said, and we begin to focus only on what that 10th person said. And we both in this conversation knew we weren't alone in this, so I decided to do a video about this. So why does this happen? And well, one of the ideas is this, right? This is a ruler, and I often use this as a metaphor for all the kind of measurements that get inserted into our lives, and via our families, our cultures, our societal contexts, all of that stuff. There are kind of what Michel Foucault called normalizing judgment. There's rules. There's rules in our families. There's rules in our cultures. There's rules in our communities. All of that stuff. And what tends to happen to us is we begin to measure ourselves against those rules. Oftentimes when people come to therapy, they're trying to move away from these things, and that can create some destabilization and all kinds of other problems. But these measurements get put in our lives, and they can take the form of critical voices or lots of other ways, however it might happen to you. And when this happens, but often that 10th person, going back to that 10th person, why does, there's, 9 people that can say wonderful things about us, love us unconditionally, support us in all kinds of different ways, but there's one person in our life that somehow just doesn't have that same response. So what happens? Well, I have this idea that often that 10th person is a personification of all of our systems of measurement that we've included, looking at us through the eyes of another. Does that make sense? That oftentimes it's not even we take it personal, but what is happening, and maybe this is unconsciously, I don't know, but what is happening, all these systems of measurement are showing up in that 10th person, right? And there's another possible reason that I think happens to us, and that is that how our culture these days prioritizes certainty, right? And we often get captured by the idea that somebody has the answer, somebody holds ultimate truth, and it's never us, right? And that we could be wrong, but people need to get comfortable. There's this, I think, call now for us to get comfortable into doing that. There's different ways to do things. There's no one right way, no truth that you don't know about and will be found out, and then everything will be okay, right? There's no place like that, and that creates all kinds of other problems, which is a whole nother video. So what are our tasks if we're experiencing this kind of experience of the tyranny of what we think other people think about us, or somebody actually saying something to us that didn't land really well? I think some of the tasks are, of course, dissolving perfection in our lives, embracing embarrassment, embracing failure, and certainly escaping certainty, which is going to be kind of a theme through a lot of my videos. You've probably heard me talking about it that way. So, how do we do this? Well, we need to discover our own capital T truths. I remember my mentor, Dr. Amy Tuttle, one time when I was in the midst of this kind of struggle, talked to me about, capital T truths and lowercase t truths, and that's the first time I'd heard anybody describe that. And it really opened up a possibility for me to kind of begin to ground myself, right, or take my own power back, or have agency in how I wanted to move through the world, or what I wanted to guide me through the world. And so that way, and in doing that, in discovering our own capital T truths, we discover our whys, right? We examine our values and our principles, what will guide us. And we ground ourselves in these. And when we're grounded in those, and it's not going to be strong all the time, but when we're grounded in those, when we get to that 10th person and they say, yeah, you're all right, or whatever, it's okay. It won't have the same effect when we don't have that kind of grounding, when we don't have that kind of ground in the midst of groundlessness, as they say in Zen. So another task for us too that would be helpful in these efforts is to find people who are doing what you want to do. Find people that are breaking from these systems of measurement, right? That are moving away from them, or have moved away from them and have been successful in doing that. And find those people, and because it's hard to do that. Michel Foucault also said, I'm paraphrasing, but he also said the easiest way to control somebody is to make them an individual. And I think there's a whole lot there, and I think you could see how that plays out. But find people who have experiences moving away from these kinds of normalizing judgment and charting new courses. And of course, therapists can be helpful in that, and other helpers, of course. So that's it. Our tasks: step away from perfection, certainty, satisfaction, discover our own capital T truths, our whys, what gets us up in the morning, our values, our principles, what meaning are we making, ground yourself in those, find people that are moving away from these systems of measurement, and then the surprising thing happens: you don't really care what other people think about you. And there's a lot of freedom in that. So hopefully this was helpful. I two quick announcements. We have a new group starting at California Family Institute by the awesome therapists Mary and Kat. They will be putting a group together about navigating the new normals that we're facing, kind of resetting into the world. If you want to come together with some other folks and talk about those challenges, please hit us up. And of course, this Thursday, the 27th, I think, I'm doing a Thursday the 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I'm doing a free webinar on being a therapist to a consultant. And I hope you'll join me for that. So this has been another edition of Kitchen Table Talk. I'm Dr. Chris Hoff. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.